Hey dudes, today I want to talk about some basic EQ for music. This will be particularly helpful if you have dialogue and music playing at the same time. You might normally just reach for the volume of the music and turn it down, but this is a little bit more refined approach where we're going to bring down some of the frequencies of the music so that the frequencies of the dialogue can kind of just sit on top of the music and just generally make it easier to hear the dialogue without sacrificing too much level of the music. So let's jump right into it and see what I'm talking about. All right, I'm just going to hit play so we can hear what's going on. You just got to remember that when you're doing sound, you're still storytelling. All right, so yeah, it's a little bit hard to understand the dialogue. But let's see if we can fix this with EQ without touching any volume or anything yet. So I'm going to open up the EQ of my music track, and everyone's going to have a slightly different version of this, but ideally you should have some magic numbers at your low mid frequency and your high mid frequency. If you've been following along on the channel, you'll know that 250 is my sort of low mid robust radio voice frequency, and 5,000 or 5K is that really sharp, bright, brittle, clear zone of, anything that you're trying to do. So we can either boost these things or reduce these things. Now I'm going to get a little bit dramatic and I'm going to reduce 5K by 9. It is going to dull out the music a bit, but just listen to how clear it makes the dialogue just by making this one change. You just got to remember that when you're doing sound, you're still storytelling. So I know that people will look at it as only a technical craft. Great. So this is immediately starting to get the music sort of out of the way and carving a little bit more space for the dialogue to sit on top. All right, so let's move on to the dialogue and continue this move. So we've reduced at 5K on the music. Let's just do a little bit of boost at 5K on the dialogue. You just got to remember that when you're doing sound, you're still storytelling. So I know that people will look at it as only a technical craft of filmmaking, but I think it's cool. So let's clean this up a little bit more. I know this is going to extend beyond EQ, but I am going to go in and just do a little bit of volume automation. And that will also continue to sort of help keep, the music as loud as we can keep it. But really, we're mostly focusing on frequency. So I'll go down by 3, clean this up a little bit so it kind of just goes in and out. You just got to remember that when you're doing sound, you're still storytelling. So I know that people will look at it as only a technical craft of filmmaking. Sounds pretty good. All right, so I'll just throw a little bit of a bonus in here. You don't have to do this, but we could also either put this into touch mode or just simply go to the automation lanes, find our high mid band gain. I'll bring this up as well so we can visually see what's going on. And, you can do something similar to what we did with the volume automation, and you can automate the EQ. So we pushed down 9, so you can see it reflected here, minus 9 dB over there on the left, and our high mid filter gain. So high mid band gain, that's what it's referring to. And we can just do, some sort of version of the exact same thing that we did before. So maybe we wanted the beat to sound a little bit more bright and in its original sort of composition state. So we can leave that alone at the beginning. So you hear it's much brighter there. You just got to remember that when you're doing sound, you're still storytelling. So I know that people will... Yeah, that was really smooth. I like that. So, the volume kind of went down. You could even get really fancy, open both of these windows, right? And put this to volume and kind of just match something pretty similar to what we did with the EQ. And it'll kind of like the volume and the EQ will go up at the same time, right? So we're just matching the EQ move to the sort of same length as the volume move. Looks like I kind of almost naturally did that over here. If you need to move automation dots, remember you can just select them with the selector tool and then just use our nudge key right here, which is the period, and just nudge it until it's about the same length. Same thing, we can go the other way. Remember, M and question mark goes more than one frame at a time, so a little bit faster. But there you go. So now we have a pretty even EQ and volume automation in terms of length. Play that back again at the end. Storytelling in any other discipline, right? We're doing the same thing with sound. Okay, so I didn't necessarily like how quickly that happened, and it was happening over my dialogue. So I'm going to just make a few adjustments here, maybe start the move there, and then just extend it just a bit like that. We'll check it one more time. In any other discipline, right, we're doing the same thing with sound. All right, so that's basically it. I just wanted to show you this quick technique that you can use, which is essentially just reducing and then boosting EQ on the music and your dialogue so that you're carving a literal hole in the frequency, and then you're leaving room for the dialogue to sort of sit right in that pocket. You can automate this if you want to get really fancy, but some version of this is probably what you're going to want to do at all times if there's dialogue and music going on at the same time. You don't then have to turn the music way, way down, because it's the frequencies that are competing with each other, not necessarily the volume. So consider that. I ended up doing both, where I reduced the frequencies quite a bit, and then just a little bit of volume reduction there, just to keep it nice and clean and easy to understand. Hope this helps. I hope you get to use it in all your projects. And until next time, later, dudes.